to be a Jessica and Ashley or whatever, just not Diani. But when he was doing it, I was looking at my mom and like, how can you let him do that to me, right? Growing up even in Dominican Republic and even here, my mom would always tell me, I wish I would have killed you. It was February, so like all the bank of snow everywhere, and I was like falling like this, walking. And he would just look at me and smile, and my heart would be like kind of sad but happy at the same time.
One of us, it could be me, it could be you, it could be any one of us. Each one have a different path. Some people struggle, some people have a good friend. But what makes them go out from there is friend, family, and above all, accepting and admitting that there is something wrong. And there's a lot of people that turn that struggle to success, and a lot of people, when you see them on a mission, you know they are passed through that. And today, please help me welcome my friend Diani Blanco, that she's going to share with us her story and how she is so passionate and doing a lot of things. Thank you, Diani, for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's amazing. You're doing so great, and I'm like obviously beyond blessed to be here today. So thank you.
Thank you. And you are an inspiration for a lot of people, and a lot of people see Diani like always smiling, always happy, but what is the reason, or what is behind that? Like, I know, like, we want to dive deeper inside Diani's life. Yeah. Can you tell us who is Diani and what makes you so passionate about doing what you do? Yeah,
so from Dominican Republic, obviously beautiful island, beautiful people, the food, amazing. I love eating, so the food is like my number one thing, but the way that I grew up, it was amazing. It was at the beach. I remember like I would be in the water until like my lips were blue. My mom was working in the resorts, and so I was always like in the water. They used to call me Little Mermaid when I was a kid, and I believed it until I was like 13 years old. Okay, so even now I'm like, maybe I am actually a mermaid. But I love the water. I love the sea. But at the same time, the way that I grew up in Dominican Republic was fun, but at the same time, I felt disconnected from people. And a lot of like grown-ups would say, oh, she's like such an old soul. She's like so grown up. And I was like, oh, I like that, right? Because you're a kid and you think that's like something really good when somebody says you're an old soul. Knowing now as an adult what that means, I don't like it, you know, like now I'm like, when people are like, oh my God, you sound so like you've been here for so long, I was like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. It means like I have a lot of trauma happening in my life, right? So I had to grow up fast. And as a young kid coming from Dominican Republic, I moved to Canada when I was 10 years old. Wow. Yeah. So moving to Canada in Shediac, where nobody knows where Shediac was. Even when you're in Dominican Republic, you talk about Montreal, everybody knows. Talk about Shediac, they're like, is that in Canada? Like they only know Montreal for some reason. Yes, right? Big city. Yeah. Big city, it's like everybody's there. But I felt like when I came here, I thought everything's gonna change, right? My mom married and I thought everything was gonna be better. But I was in middle school in Shediac, so I was the only Black girl. And I was picked on a lot because I was different. Because my hair was different, because my eyes was different, because my lips were different, because my color, it was like everything about me was picked on. And I thought like I wanted to be any other girls in my class. Like I wanted to be the blonde with blue eyes and straight hair, and you know, like I wanted to be them. So that was bothering you, Diani, like to the point that you don't want to be yourself. Yes, I never wanted to be me. I hated my name growing up. I wanted to be a Jessica and Ashley or whatever, just not Diani. And so being bullied in school, then going home and going through domestic abuse was very hard for me. Because my mom married, and like we shared earlier, you know, like we grew up in a culture where if your kid does something wrong, you slap their butt and then know not to do it again. Yes. So when I was back home in Dominican Republic, that was fine with me. When my mom was doing that, I was okay. when I was going to the neighbor's house and I was doing something wrong and she would slap my butt, I was okay with that. But when I moved here and my mom married, and he was doing that, but it wasn't because I did something wrong. It was about everything, anything.
When your mom married somebody from here, from Chile?
No, so he moved from Belgium.
Okay.
To here when he was like 19, 20. He went to University of Moncton, so he moved here, and my mom met him like later on, of course. So yeah, it was like it was hard for me to understand. It was like when my mom was doing it, I was taking it because it was my mother.
Yes.
But when he was doing it, I was looking at my mom and like, how can you let him do that to me, right? It was hard for me to kind of like put that in my child's brain, that my mom would just stand there and watch somebody verbally abuse me, physically, mentally abuse me. And then at the end of it, it's like yesterday, he would always do something and go over it. Either hit me so hard that it would split my lip. I had my ribs broken because of him. One day I remember he like dragged me by my hair, and it was like going really, really hard. Like everything was like to the excess, like it was always too much, right? And I was like so angry at everything. And my mom, in a way, obviously she wasn't better. My mom always had a lot of anger. I never understood why, because I'm the youngest. So we always had this thing of like the youngest is like the spoiled little one. But for me, it was the total opposite. My brother was spoiled. My sister, she's like, cannot do anything wrong. She's the most beautiful one. She's like incredible. But me, there was so much anger when it came to me. And growing up, even in Dominican Republic and even here, my mom would always tell me, I wish I would have killed you. Because she took medications to abort me, but it didn't work. I'm here. I'm still here. And I was so angry all the time that when she would say that, I would yell at her and say, just do it now, right? And I was very young, and I would look at my mom and scream at her, then do it now. And she would hit me so hard, but that slap hurt less than those words.
Wow.
Even now, like I talk about it and it hurts my heart, right? I have 2 young kids, so I can never imagine in a million years looking at them and saying, I wish I never had you. Every single day.
That's the hardest thing you hear.
Yeah, every single day I tell them how much I love them, how much I appreciate that I had them, how much lucky I am. And I never had that from my mom. So with all this situation happening at home and at school, I was getting myself in trouble. I was trying to tell somebody, look at me, right?
Yes.
There's something wrong going on, please, right?
Nobody understanding.
Nobody understanding. And I was like acting up, and oh my God, I remember again, like it was like yesterday, I was like 12 years old, 13 years old almost. I remember it was February. And that morning, my mom's husband, it was a morning of physical abuse. And I got so mad, and he left because he worked at the University of Moncton, and my mom left for work. And I stayed there because I usually would, by myself, go take the bus or walk at school. I decided, well, today I'm gonna do things differently. So they had 2 bars, one small one upstairs, one big one downstairs. So you can just imagine what I did. So I was like 12 and a half, 13 years old. I decided I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna mix everything. I was like drinking beer, wine, vodka, rum, like just now thinking about it, I sometimes gag. I'm like,
So how old were you?
I was like 12 and a half, 13 years old. I was young, and I got so drunk, and I was small. I was always in sports. I wasn't Like, you know, like I don't even know how much, like it was bad. And I decided to walk to school. And I still remember like falling on like
you
banks of
were drunk to school?
Yes! It was February, so like all the banks of snow everywhere, and I was like falling like this, walking. All right, so I got to school. Obviously super drunk, telling my friends that I was drunk. My backpack was full of alcohol. I had like rum, like the big like pints of rum and everything, and I was like bragging to everybody. So obviously they told the teacher told the principal, and then so that was the first time that somebody like clicked in, there's something wrong.
So 12 years old and you were drunk.
Yeah,
and
drunk
walking in February to the school.
Yeah, it was insane. But yeah, so finally I thought somebody is gonna see what's going on. So the principal, of course, called social services.
Oh my.
So I ended up having a social worker, and I kind of right away told her like what was going on. But they didn't really care, because the thing is, like, I went to foster care when I at that age for like a few weeks, 2 weeks or something like that. And I came back home, and the only thing they told me was, well, we sat down with your mother and her husband and everything should be fine now. And it was like worse after, right? So I ran away, I was suicidal. And the same thing, it was, no, we talked to them. Everything's gonna be fine. Go home again, everything is worse. So that was like 3 social workers later, I was finally placed in a group, like it wasn't a group home, it was just a home, foster care home in Acadieville, from all places. So even now, like I was traumatized on how it happened. I was in school, and then they call me to the principal's office. I go there, and there's 2 big officers there, and they tell me I have to go with them. And one of them, I still remember like yesterday, one of them grabbed me by my arm, and I was pulling back, like I was freaking out. And then the other officer was like, no, like he just tapped the other, it's like, no, let her go. And then he talked to me really soft, and he explained to me like, right now you're being placed. And I was like, I didn't have any clothes. They're like, don't worry, they're gonna set that up for you. So one officer drove me from my school, MFB, to Bouctouche, and another officer picked me up in Bouctouche and drove me
12 years old girl going through all this at that time. That's all a lot.
It's like, it's insane to think about it, like when you're putting everything together, and then after that you're like 13, 14 in social services. And I had my last social worker, God bless her, Sophia Bao, was the most amazing person that I've ever had in my life at that time. And I'm so grateful that I had that person. But I was in foster care, and I felt like, okay, like that's family, look like they want me, that they, you know, like I was still like hesitant to kind of connect with them. But then not that long after that, I actually found out that the only reason they wanted me was because they adopted a little Black boy from Africa. Like they're technically like from Africa, but he was born like premature, mom doing drugs, and then they took him over and they adopted him. So they wanted somebody that looked like him. So it wasn't because they wanted me and to help me. They just wanted somebody that looked like the kid they adopted. And that kind of broke my heart like a million pieces. I was like, I knew it. There's nobody that can love me. And I was 15, got myself in a bad, 14 and a half, 15, got myself in a bad relationship with somebody. And I think as a young kid, I was trying to find love, but I didn't know what love was, right? I never experienced love in a way at that age. Even before with my mom or anybody, I never knew what it meant to be loved. So going into that relationship that young, I thought it was love, but it wasn't, of course. He slowly starting to show me who he was. My friends weren't good enough. If I didn't go to a party, he would cheat on me, but it was my fault because I didn't go to the party. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you didn't go, so, you know? And it was like, okay, you're in high school and everybody knows that except you. Your friends know that he cheated on you, lied to you, and everything. They sit beside you, that they act like they care, but nobody says anything to you, right? Nobody's like stand up for you. And that broke me even more when it came to friendship, because I felt like
you kind of lost trust.
I lost trust in everyone and everything. Like, even in myself, because I was like, no, I'm not gonna go with that person. And then I was going back to that person. So I even lost trust in myself as a teenager. And around 16 and a half, I moved by my own. So I was going to school full time, had a part-time job, had my own apartment.
At what age?
16 and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, so because I was...
Tough cookie.
Yeah, I know, right? Because the government was technically my parent, right? So the government was my mom or dad and my parents itself, right? So my social worker signed in some way, because she had custody of me. The government had custody of me, that I was able to have an apartment. And it was amazing, but then it kind of came crashing down because the person that I was dating came there, right? And it was like, my place was like a party place all the time. And I felt like I was a mom. It was like, I was in school and people would text me that they're in my house drinking.
Wow.
And I would come from school and then be like, okay, everybody stop drinking. I need to cook. You guys need to eat. You guys, there's nobody gonna get sick here.
So it's almost like that love that Diani didn't get as a child.
I was giving it to everybody
You're giving
else.
it to everybody.
Yeah. So I was doing that. And then I remember a lot of like the parents or friends, like especially the parents, they knew where their kids were. They were at my place. And sometimes they would give me like a $50 or like something.
Just to help with them.
Just to help and be like, thank you, because we know that you feed my kid when they're the whole weekend they're here. And we were young, right? So and during that time, because I was by myself and everything, that person took advantage of it. So the abuse that he started, like small, like verbal, cheating, lying, kind of trying to isolate me from my friend, became worse. It was more verbal, more physical. So then I, now looking back, is like the cycle that my mom was living and I grew up in, I was continuing the same cycle without even knowing that I was doing that, right? Because I felt I needed love. And every time the person would say, well, you told me you were not gonna leave me like your mom did to you. It would like hurt me so much. Or you're doing the same thing your mom did. It was like, it was like, okay, no, I'm not like my mom, so I'm taking the person back.
Ah, okay.
So they're really good at kind of manipulating who you are and what hurts, right?
So they were kind of playing on the pain and playing like the victim, and they're just trying to get you into that.
To get me to kind of stay with them, right? Like that's like the thing that it was. And it's just, now looking back, I'm like, there's a lot of things that happened, but do I regret it? No. Not at all. Like, it's weird to say.
Diani, my friend, holy, you just took us on this journey, like from up and down and up and down, and you are still smiling. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And you were talking before about societal. You were having some societal idea. Is that like that's how painful it was, and that's how hard it is that you feel like there is no hope? there is nobody love you, and you just feel like I have to finish this.
Yeah. The last time that I can feel it and know it, that I really wanted to take my life, I was 16 years old and I was done with everything. Like, I didn't have my mom, obviously, my sister, we didn't talk as much. My brother, I felt like we didn't have a relationship. My father, I don't remember when I met him. And I was going through an abusive relationship. And I remember walking in the streets of, like, there's one street, like the 480 in Acadiville. There's not much in Acadiville, right? One way. And I was walking in this bridge, and I felt like, this is it. I love water. This is my time. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm done. And I was at the edge of the bridge, and I was gonna jump. So I was just looking at the water running. Wow. And I said, if I jump, it's gonna hit hard, and I'm just gonna float.
So you had the scenario, everything in your head?
I just had everything in my head, how it's gonna happen. I jump, it's gonna hit hard, and I'm gonna float, and then later on they will find me somewhere, but I'm floating and at peace. Wow. And there was like something, and it doesn't matter what you believe in. Mm-hmm. You can say it's God, you can say it's a spirit, you can say it's an angel, you can say whatever what it is, but I feel like there was like this angel, like, just like, no, this is not your time. Like, don't go. It's weird to say, but I felt like it was in the summertime, and I felt like a cold breeze. And it was like something that even now I feel like when I was gonna jump, that cold breeze happened. And just, it was
almost like freshness wake you up.
Yeah, it's like something, and it hurt me so much, and I was crying and crying, and I said, okay. And then I just decided to walk away. And just going over with everything, and, you know, my social worker, like I said, Sophia Bell, she was amazing, and she was always asking me, like, are you okay? Do you need help? I'm here for you. I love you. And I would be like, you don't love me. You don't even know me. Like, my mom doesn't care for me, and you're saying you care for me. Like, are you serious right now? And I was so angry every time she would say, I care for you, Diony.
It just hurts more when you hear that.
Yeah. It was hurting me so much. But at the same time, even though I was acting like I was cold, it was going in my heart. Like, it was hurting me. Like, when I was walking away, I was crying, and every time that I talk about it, like, I feel like I'm gonna cry.
When you are walking away from the bridge, or towards
like everything. Like, when Sophia Bowes was telling me that she loves me, and I was walking away, and it's like, I kind of understand what she meant, but it's like, how can you care for me? And then the person that gave birth to me never had that feeling and that love and care.
So your heart wasn't accepting or understanding that anybody saying I love you, that's just another lie or another.
Yes, because I was going through a domestic abuse, right? The partner that I had was physically, emotionally, mental, like, it was everything. Like, it's like I continued the same cycle. So he was telling me, I love you.
Okay.
Right?
So it was just a word. Yeah.
So for me, when somebody tells me I love you, I don't really care for words. I care for actions. So you can say I love you. Kids, and that's the way that I saw it. A baby can repeat I love you, but they don't know the meaning of the word I love you. Right? You say anything. You say one word and then they're gonna repeat it. Does that mean that they know what that means? No. They're just repeating what you're repeating.
Definitely.
Right? So that's how I took it. It's like you're just saying just to say it because people say it. Right? So that was like a moment for me. It was like, no. And when I was 19, I had my oldest, EJ. And I felt lonely, sad, broken. And I was breastfeeding him and crying, and my tears were like hitting his poor little face. It was like I was holding him and just crying and like, It was like, poor kid.
Is that the first time like you felt like love at that time at the end, like when you had that baby in your hand, and that's the pure love was coming?
It was a part of me, and every time he would just look at me and smile, and in my heart would be like kind of sad but happy at the same time. And I would just say, thank you, God, that you gave me this little angel, because I said, like, and I say that all the time. And even now, like, I turned 30 and I'm looking at my kids and I cry, knowing that if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be here, right?
Wow.
I would not be here. And that, like, it's something that I tell people when I say it, is like, because I know that sometimes we look at things and it's hurtful. We look at how we grew up. We look at what we don't have.
Definitely.
Yeah, and when I had my oldest, EJ, I felt, okay, you know, like, okay, I have a baby. I'm by myself. I don't have any moments to sleep. I don't have somebody to just come and say, hey, do you want to have like a you day? I'm going to take the baby. I didn't have that. And it was me and him, right? And it was beautiful. It was a lot, but he was, and he is my best friend. I only had him for a long time. And when I had my youngest Nico, like 3 years or something after, I felt like I wanted to have more. During my pregnancy, I wanted to have more with my mother. So my mom was having like a breakup thing with her husband. And I said, well, this is the time for me as a daughter to step up and be there. And the way that I was seeing things was, if my mom can redeem herself and be a great and amazing grandma, my heart can forgive the past. It was like, I am okay to put the past in the past if she's gonna be that grandma that I need my kids to have her with them, right? They always say, like, I never like met my grandparents, both sides. Like, I never had that. And I always envy those kids that say like, oh, I'm going to my grandparents' house and I spend the weekend there. And I was like, wow, that sounds so much fun, right? Because I never had that. So I wanted that for my kids. And it did not last, because my mom, what I understood is, you cannot force somebody to change. You can only change yourself.
Definitely.
So I did my part as a mother, I did my part as a daughter, and I did my part as a human and a woman, was that I put my ego aside because I wanted my kids to have something. But, you know, like, I am good enough to say sorry and apologize and know when I do something wrong. And I understood that my mother was never gonna be that person to apologize. But again, I was like, if she's there for the kids, I'm good. And that did not happen. And the moment when I realized that I have to cut that umbilical cord that was still attached in some ways, I think it was 3-4 months after I had Nico. And my mother actually opened her own store. And I was helping her, like, I was a toddler and a baby, and I was still helping her. And I felt like she would see that I'm that daughter, right? It's like, she's that daughter. She's gonna be there for me. She's gonna help me. And I felt like I was always trying to do something to help her, to show her, like, you know, you have 2 other kids, but like, I have a lot of heart and a lot of love. Like, I'm here for you, right? And she didn't see that at all. And I remember during that time that she had the store, a friend of hers came over, and O'Neill, he's one of he's like my big brother, and he was there too. And this lady was like, oh my God, you just had a baby. Like, wow, like, you look good for just having a baby not that long ago. And my mother's just like, oh, no. You should see her sister. Like, her sister has a beautiful shape. She's really, my sister and I, we have different shapes. I'm more athletic person, you know? So that moment, I just looked at her, I said, she's never gonna change. It's not just because what she said about me. It's about the way she's just dismissed, like I don't exist. If you go to an event and they know my mother or they know my sister, my brother, they don't know I exist. A lot of people looked at my sister when I was a teenager, when we go into the mall or we were going somewhere, they were like, oh, you have a sister? I didn't know your mom had another daughter. They just knew about my sister and my brother. I never existed. So that was very hurtful for me to kind of every time hear that. And even now, I had an event that I was an MC a few months ago, and this lady was like, I saw a picture when you guys were really young of you and your sister. I didn't realize that your mother had another daughter. Even now.
Okay.
There's I didn't put the 2 and 2 together with your picture with your sister. You guys looked alike, but we didn't know that your mother had another daughter. And I was like, yeah, that's not the first time that I hear that. Now I just I really don't care.
So you kind of now you are.
I'm so used to it. And it's sad that I'm used to it. It's sad that I have to say, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I know. Or roll my eyes and be like, and laugh about it. Because no kid should ever have to go through that. Doesn't matter what age you are. And a lot of things, even now I still have nightmares about the things that my mom said. I have nightmares about the house in Shediac. I have nightmares, it's bad. It's that house is this darkness over it. I had a hard time driving to Shediac.
Just because of the memory and stuff.
Just the memories of everything.
So Diana, you took us again on this deep journey that you make us almost crying, and you make us emotional. Yeah. And we were talking about the memory and how every time you try to drive to Shediac, you remember all those nasty feeling you had back there, and you try to make peace with your mom, but it just didn't work. So you're just trying to make peace and accept that's the way it is. Yes,
it is, because to be honest, now I'm okay, I did my part, I said, right? It's fine, it's okay. And now I can drive to Shediac and I'm fine about it. I can see their house and I'm fine about it. I can see her car and I'm fine about it. Fine, because before my heart would stop and I would be it's this little kid inside of me that would be so scared. Still, and it's crazy. And I remember the first time that I decided to go through Shediac and drive all those places that in my dreams were nightmares, right? The school, how did it look like? This street that I used to walk by, this place.
All the flashback.
Yes, all those flashbacks, nightmares, places. And I was just driving and I was well, it's not that bad. It's pretty, right? It's why was I scared? Why in my dream was such a bad thing? And I realized it's because I didn't have that time and place to just heal and let go. By doing those drives by myself and crying by myself and letting go of it, now I can drive to Shediac and I'm okay with it. So I'm really happy about it, and I think.
So let me stop you here a little bit. You said before it used to look so different.
Yeah.
But now did you do the work? Did you do something that make things look different?
Shediac looking different?
No, I mean you used to drive there and it looked it used to bother you. But
it looked darkness.
You did the inner work.
Yes.
To accept, and do you understand? Now you drive it doesn't bother you anymore.
Yeah. I think it was a lot of work on understanding who I am as a person and forgive myself most of everything.
That's a big thing, forgiveness.
Yeah. Because the thing is, as a kid, I felt it was my fault. as a teenager, I felt like everything that happened was my fault. As an adult, I was still feeling like it was my fault that my mom gave me away, that I did something wrong, that I was born different. So if I would be the same as my brother, the same as my sister, then I would have more love from my mother, right? And I was always asking myself, is my father actually my father? Like, is that why she doesn't want me? Because we maybe don't have, like, it was like my brain was going all over the place, right? I only met my father twice in my life that I can remember, that I have a memory of him. When I was 18 and one time when I was 24 and EJ was like 4, Nico was 1. And that was the only time that I met my father twice that I can remember. And I was always asking myself if there's something, obviously there's something I don't know about when I was born or when I was conceived or whatever what it was, but then I was like, maybe it's all my fault. I wasn't supposed to be born because my mom didn't want me. And then I'm like, come on, like I didn't make that choice. Now I'm making the choice that I want for life. So I have to forgive myself that whatever happened when I was a kid, it's not me. I can be grateful that that happened because I was strong enough to go through it, and now I can help others, but I cannot just put myself down and be like, I should have been a better daughter because I was a kid. Like, I should have been better at cleaning my room. I should have been better. Come on, you know? And I think now as a mother, I kind of look at it differently. I talk to my kids a lot. I share a lot with my kids. My kids are literally, like I said, my best friends. I'm so honest with them that some people are like kind of shocked. They can ask me anything and I share with them because I think it's very important for your kids to know that you're there for them. When I do something wrong and I can be tired, upset, there's something that happened, and obviously I'm human, so I'm like overwhelmed and I'm like, whatever, and it's like, I need time for myself, and then I'm like angry, go in my bedroom, calm down, think about it, sit down with my kids and say like, okay, mom was obviously overreacting right now. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said that. I don't even know why I acted like that. But to my kids to see that is not the point of your kids seeing you angry that is bad. It's your kids not seeing you apologize when you do something wrong, right? I never had my mom apologize. So it was hard for me. But then having kids now, I'm like, it's time for me to do things differently. It's time for me to look at my kids and do my best for them, right? I teach them great values that I had to learn by myself. I had to teach that myself. And I have that moment with them that I'm like, okay, they're literally their own little people. You know, I can be there to try to teach them, but at the end of the day, they're gonna choose what path
they will take.
They want to take.
Do you know, if you're looking back, do you know or do you appreciate that what happened to you make you the person who you are now? Because 100%. Lisa Brown once said, when you get rejection, God put you on the right direction.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's not one thing that I regret. I think that before I used to regret a lot. I used to say, oh, I should have done this way. I should have done that way. But then I'm like, okay, at that time, at that moment, that is what I knew. And this is the decision that I made because that's the only thing I knew at that time. Now I know better.
When we know better,
but
we do better.
We do better. But the thing is like, now is there some situation that's gonna happen and I make a decision that Diani in like 5 years from now, she's gonna be like, why did you make that decision? Because the thing is like, I can only make a decision right now of what I know, the values that I have, the environment that I have, right? You can't just go back and Be like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Make yourself better, do better. Like push yourself to do more in life, right?
And I love when you mention to Diani that when you were feeling the victim and comparison, and that is the two enemy that kill somebody's trust, kill somebody's is self-confidence. But when you understand that, you just move forward to achieve more, and you become more, and that's what we will talk about.
Yeah.
Diani and her achievement and turning the struggle to success.
Yeah.
Diani, my friend. Yeah. So from darkness to the light, and from the night to the day. You went through a lot of struggle, a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But you managed to turn that struggle to success. And you are working actually your passion. And they see you love what you are doing. Yeah. Queen of Heart.
Yes.
Book one.
Yes.
You have your own show, a talk show, so many things.
Yeah.
Share with us, my friend, like.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I started my speaking of like kind of journey when I was 23. So because of everything that happened, I wanted to share as like a way of healing. So I started across New Brunswick in all the high schools. I went and had presentations and shared about my story, my journey, everything that happened to me. And it was very deep, very raw. Everybody cries, we laugh, we cry, we laugh again, and we cry. At the end, I always ask the teenagers to just have like a little questionnaire because I'm really curious. And I sit in my car every time and I cry again because it's like there's so many of them.
And it's okay to cry.
And it's okay to cry.
It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah, and then there's so many of them that are going through so much stuff. And a lot of them don't know where to go, who to talk to, right? There's a lot of them, like their story, every time that I read it, it kind of breaks my heart that I know that other people are going through the same thing that I've been through. And I decided to just keep doing that. And then I started as like a business now, right? It's like, okay, I want something to help me heal. And now I'm having it as a business, right? Wow. And it's like amazing. Then after that, in 2019, when we started, Queens of Heart was in 2020 that we started. But in 2019, my apartment burned and we lost everything, me and the kids. So we were at the beach when that happened. It was August and we lost everything. We just had like literally our clothes that we went to the beach with. And I remember we were at the beach and my phone kept ringing. It was like private number and I was like, who's that? Like, who's calling me? And then I couldn't call back because it was private number. Then suddenly one of my friends called and then I say, hi. And he's like, where are you? I was like, I'm at the beach. He's like, Diani, your place is burning right now. Like there's like firefighters, ambulance, like, like it was like, and I was like, what are you talking about? So I was like, putting the kids in the car, driving to my place. And I was living in Saint Antoine at that time. And again, for all places, I don't know why I go to places like Acadie-Ville, Saint-Louis, Kent, I don't know, anyways. But I was driving to my place in Saint Antoine. And everybody, obviously, all the neighborhood, everybody was there. And then I realized it's like, okay, I have nothing now. Like I worked, pardon my French, my ass off for what I had with my kids. So I was working night shift at a senior's home. And 12 hours night shift, not seeing my kids a lot, being tired during the day, trying to do my best. So I was sending my kids to daycare for like a few hours in the morning so then I can sleep, pick them up, try to do stuff with them because obviously I was feeling guilty as a mom that I wasn't doing much with them. You know, it was summertime or whatever and I wanted to always do something with them, right? So for them to just have good memories. So when that happened, I remember driving to Moncton. I don't know why I was driving towards Moncton, right? I was just driving and I just realized like I have nothing anymore. I have nothing.
Fresh start from everything.
Yeah, but it's like, it was like so weird because everybody was helping me. The community got themselves together to help me. And I got a place, I got a couch, I got a table, I got everything, but I was very depressed. I remember when the first few days, at the hotel, because Red Cross helped us, it was a nightmare. My kids were like, vacation time, this is fun, there's a pool, jumping in the bed. I was like, stop jumping, because I was like, if somebody complains, I have nowhere to go with you guys. So it was like, stop jumping, stop screaming, stop crying, right? Because I was stressing if somebody complains that the kids were being too noisy, and they say, okay, you have to leave. It was like, where do I go? Because I have no place. And again, everybody was helping me. We got an Airbnb for a week, got my place. People were always like donating. My kids loved it because they had like St. Louis gift cards for like 2-3 weeks. So then after that, when I have like,
chicken wing every time.
Yeah, there were like ribs and stuff like that eating. And I was like, and then they got too used to it because I'm like cook from scratch type of person. Like I'm really like old fashioned cooker. And my kids were like, Mom, can we go like, you know, to that restaurant with the big S? I'm like, no, I'm not going to spend like $50 at St. Louis. Like, I was like, I'm making pasta. I'm like, no. So it was like so funny, but at the same time, I was really depressed. I got a place, I got everything after the fire, after everything, but I was depressed. And people kind of thought like, okay, we have her with material stuff, she's gonna be fine.
But emotional stuff wasn't taken care of.
I was heartbroken because it wasn't the material that I lost in the fire, is the meaning, like what happened for me to buy that, right?
Okay.
The kids' bunk beds, I worked overtime for 3 months, put money aside, did not see my kids a lot because they wanted that bunk bed, and that they went to that store and they were like, Mom, we want that bunk bed. And I was like, maybe one day. And then I promised myself that they're gonna get that bunk bed. So I worked a lot for that. And then they dropped it at my house, but they don't put it together. They just drop it to you. And I was like, you guys are not gonna help me put that together? Like, how am I supposed to do that by myself? I have nobody here. And I did it. I was like, literally like the Hulk almost. I put literally one on top. I don't even know. Like now that I'm looking at it, and I said, I was like putting the top bunk bed like on the wall, then put my leg and stuff. I don't even know how to explain it, but I was crying and screaming, and I was like dedicated that I was gonna put that bunk bed together for my kids. And when I pick them up from daycare, their bunk bed is gonna be there. And
so you were proud, and
oh my God, I was
so it's
so
the connection
proud.
that the connection with the stuff that bothered you most.
That face that they had when they walked to the house and they saw the bunk bed, and every like that connection. And that's the thing that I tell people, is not the material. Like I'm the last person that a materialistic person. Like that's not me. Materials are nothing. But that connection and that love and that face is still there. Those faces are still there. It's like, it's such a great memory. And then I felt sad that they lost something that they wanted. And then I worked hard to have for them. But then it made us closer, me and my kids. It made us like understand that we have each other. And
that's what matters.
Yes. And for me, it made me realize, okay, I can lose things. But I have my kids, and I will always have my kids. You know, there's always those moments where we all, the three of us, cuddle in bed, and I'm like, I look at them and I just stare at them. Sometimes people are like, it sounds a little creepy. I'm just like staring at my kids sleeping there, but it's like all the little things, like
those
they're, you know, like how they're just that face,
smiling,
how their lips are made, the way they snore, like all those little imperfections
details,
that are so cute. Those details, like, you know, it's like their eyelashes, how beautiful they are, you know, like it's like there's no kids are more beautiful than my kids for me. You know, this, and I think that was something that I needed to have, is like all those things. And then in 2020, when all COVID happened, and I wanted to help other mothers to go through, that are going through some struggles. That's how Queens of Heart was born, with me and Alicia, right? And you continue doing that, and then this fire inside of you every time, and the kids are always with me, even when they don't want it.
Diana, you shared with us like all the stuff that you achieved, and one of them, Queen of Heart.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit briefly about Queen of Heart and the amazing mission that you are doing, helping women and helping people that need help and the support and all that stuff?
Yeah, so Queens of Heart is there for emergency food deliveries. So we're trying to just help close that gap that we're seeing right now happening in our society, our community right now. But it's something that is always like a connection, right, with other people. And like I said, like my kids are always with me, so that kind of teach them that not everybody is having the best time. Some people struggle, then they're fine. And the most beautiful thing about that is like a lot of families that reach out to us when they're financially stable, they give
the help. Okay.
Yeah, so it kind of continues
Circle.
that beautiful circle, right? And also I have my speakers bureau, so that continues what I've been trying to do, like that I started when I was 23. That is all about speaking, helping people if they want to become a speaker. It's like everybody has a great story. So how do you stand up? How do you reach out to people, right? So we do the booking, we help them with training, but at the same time, I tell people just be yourself, right? Just be yourself and share your story, because that's gonna help somebody else, right? It's always like this great thing, and for me, it's all about helping, right? Even with the talk show, it's all about connecting with people, having deep conversations, and being real. Yeah, because you cannot help somebody without being honest and vulnerable. You cannot say like, oh, I want to help somebody if you're not sharing like what's in your heart. Right?
If your cup is empty, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, like if I'm walking somewhere, somebody's gonna look at me and say, oh, she has everything, figure it out. As soon as I speak, I open my mouth, you're like, okay, whoa.
Yes, hold on.
Hold on a minute. Okay, there's a lot that happened to this person, right? And that's the thing, is like, as soon as you open up with somebody, that person's gonna open up to you, and then you're gonna see who that person truly is. Because until you actually open up to one another, you cannot see each other. Right? As soon as you open up with me, and I open up to you, you're gonna see who I am, who is Diani. When you're gonna be like, hey, I know Diani, you know Diani, right?
Definitely.
It's not just the name, right? The title. That I'm so not interested of your title. I'm interested, who are you? What's your story?
Who are you really?
Yeah, how can we connect together and cry and laugh and understand that we're all humans, we're all one.
Definitely.
Right? We're all been through a lot. And my story cannot be kind of put out like beside somebody else's story, because all the stories are very beautiful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Everybody's different.
And look at you, Diani, like at the age of 16, you were thinking about committing suicide.
Yeah.
And look, everybody have imprint.
Yeah.
And each one have a different imprint.
Yeah.
For a reason. So we can leave an imprint on this planet.
Yeah.
And you did.
Oh, yeah.
You opened up, you shared, and now you are helping others. What is some of the advices that you could tell to people who are sitting right there and they are listening, or maybe they are trying to take the trigger, or they are going through depression, or maybe just trying to end it all? The example right here in front of you. Like
the best advice that I can give somebody is, honestly, from my heart to yours, is understand that you're here for a reason. Like you were born here for a reason. I could have said, okay, like I've been through all this, so I'm not gonna care about others. I'm gonna go and do drugs and alcohol and not be a good mom. But that's just an excuse. Like you're here, you're born, you're in this world, you're breathing. Tomorrow morning you wake up, be grateful and understand if you're going through something, there's always gonna be that one person there for you. There's always that one person, right? And if you think you don't have that person, there's always help somewheres.
Definitely.
And I think like in our society, especially now, it's viewed even better, right? It's good for you to go for help. I grew up that you don't talk about anything that happened at home outside the house. But I think that's the wrong thing to happen, you need to go outside the house to find help. And like shows like this, there's amazing events in the Greater Moncton that is something about inspiring, empowering women, men, people, humans. There's like this great connection. And I can say like the Greater Moncton has amazing people that you can open up and just be there for one another, right? And if you're going through something and you want to share that, start your own little group, right? Start your own little thing. Go and share that with people. Do like videos here and there on Facebook about, okay, today I'm going through this and I need this, and then somebody's going to be there for you.
Definitely.
There's always somebody there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, my friend Diani. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and be with you, because one of us, you are one of us.
Thank
and
you.
Another one could be one of us, and each one have a different path.
Yes.
So always be there to help each other, be there to open and to listen, because when you are listening, you are opening up, and one of us ask for help, and be there for others and connect, because when you open up, you let things out. A lot of us focus on the physical appearance and the physical fitness, but we forget about the emotional fitness.
Yeah.
So one of us is all about us. Thank you very much, and thank you, Diani.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so cute.